I'm Crystal Bettycourt, and today I'm with Professor Johnson, who teaches journalism at Texas Southern University. And Mr. Johnson was also a former broadcast journalist, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me a little bit about your past in broadcast journalism? Like, for instance, why did you choose broadcast journalism?
I'm not really sure what the good answer for that would be. I was working out at NASA for a contractor who was working on the manned spacecraft center quite a few years ago now. And I had always been interested in film and didn't even think that I could be on television. But then I saw some people on television and I'm saying to myself, I could do that. I have a journalism major and an English minor. But at any rate, when I completed the story, I wrote a script, and I didn't hear from the news director for about, it might have been a month. And then he called me in and had me to go to the studio, and they mic'd me and everything, and I sat at the desk, and I read the script. The director, I had the thing in my ear, and the director said, okay, go. And so I read the story that I had written. And then afterwards, the director complimented me and said, have you ever done television before? I said, no, I haven't. He said, well, you seem very comfortable, and that was a good job. And then it was probably another month before I heard from the news director, who at the time was Mr. Ray Miller, I think probably the preeminent news director, television news director here in Houston, called and said I had a job. Oh, and one thing, the first story I did, the actual first story on camera, was the closing of Wheeler Street, right, which is now the Tiger Walk.
Yeah.
And I was right down here at Tilwester and Wheeler, on the street, saying that the legislature had allowed TSU to go ahead and close the street to city traffic. That was my first story.
Wow, so you kind of went full circle. You started.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because you started at a different time. Now we have like 5 different versions. You put it on YouTube, Twitter, everything's going there. So what? You didn't have all that to start off with?
Just radio. Channel 2 is the NBC affiliate. And it's owned by the Hobby family. And so you had KPRC TV, and down the hall you had KPRC radio. And if we, as a television reporter, I was required to also do stories for the radio side. So if they sent me to city council to cover a story, I'd have to get on the telephone and phone in a radio report. But that was it, you know.
Okay. So what was your, what was your highs and what was your low? What was the biggest challenge you faced working in broadcast, as well as, your best moment, if you say, if you could pick any moment that, that one comes out in your mind?
Probably the thing that I remember most is the opportunity to do a couple of documentaries. I always wanted to do them, and I got a chance to do several while I was at Channel 2, and they turned out to be award-winning pieces of journalism. The first one I did, well, let me say this, I was the education and medical reporter. So I covered HISD, TSU, the colleges, U of H, that kind of thing. And then I also went over to the medical center and tried to find out what was going on over there. So those 2 were my beats. And the person with the Harris County Medical Society gave me a call one day and said, I have a young man who's going to have a kidney transplant, and I am telling you this, and only you, if you'd like to have the opportunity to interview him and do a story. You have full access in the operating room, the whole bit. And so I had the opportunity to go. I think he lived in Orange, Texas. The cameraman and I drove up. He lived in a trailer out in the woods, and this was like his second second or third kidney transplant.
Yeah.
And the thing with kidney transplants is that at some point they might fail. And so this had failed, he had rejected it, and so he was going, again, I think his younger brother was providing it. So the camera person, I went up, we interviewed him in his home, trailer home. We followed him to a dialysis center in downtown Orange. And then we came to Houston to Methodist Hospital. And it was very early in the morning. It came like maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. We had to get up and be ready. So when they came from the parking lot and they were walking up the steps. So we were allowed full access to the operating room. You know, we went in, we washed our hands, we put on the gloves, we put on the green and the cap and everything, and we went into the operating room, and the doctors were in there doing their thing. The camera person was over here, the cameraman, you know, shooting, and I was on a stool standing up looking over the doctor's shoulder.
You were watching the surgery?
Yeah, watching the surgery, the kidney transplant, with my little notebook. And I enjoyed doing the kind of thing, you know, the step-by-step thing of the interviewing in his home, speaking to him still, interviewing him while he was dialyzing, and then talking to him in recovery, and that sort of thing. And we put that together and we ran it over a period of a week, and wound up on a Friday, I think, with the conclusion of it. But it was a mini documentary. And I got the Kidney Foundation gave the cameraman and I an award for that. The Texas Medical Association, as I recall, also gave us an award for public health presentation. And so I enjoyed that. I did another one about heart disease, and actually wound up on the cover of Broadcast Magazine. Once again, quite a few years ago, but those sorts of opportunities I enjoyed most. Otherwise, I did what most reporters do. You know, you cover the school board meeting, you cover city council, you cover accidents on the freeway, the standard staple of what reporters do during a career. But I enjoyed doing the documentaries.
Okay, so now, like I said, it came back full circle, and you're no longer reporting, you're actually teaching, right? You're teaching journalism.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so to all your journalism students, what advice would you give them? Now it's a whole new age of journalism, and it's a lot of competition out there.
We have more tools to tell the stories that we encounter nowadays. But the thing about that, even with all the tools, how good a storyteller are you? And I think what I try to tell students is let's get the basics straight. What does a journalist do? You go out, you report the news, and you need to do a thorough job of reporting. If you come back to the station or the office or whatever, and you haven't gotten enough information, it's too late to go back again. So you need to be thorough in the reporting. Talk to people. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Ask the questions you need to ask. Get the information you need so that when you get back and you sit down and you start writing.
Okay, well, thank you, Professor Johnson, for lending all of your stories and all of your advice, especially to all the students at TSU.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And this has been Crystal Betancourt with Professor Johnson, and you have a great day.